So I'm going to take a break from this. I'm actually have took a break for about 3 days. I just left it sitting here because it's getting on my nerves. It's not the gauges themselves, it's the fitment. That's what's it's just driving me nuts. So instead, I'm going to start shaving my intake, which is up there. Let me tell you what, still the best investment I've ever bought. These are full LEDs. 4,000 lume, and it was more on the white side of the Kelvin scale, which is, yellow, white, blue. These are 4,000 lume though. Sorry, I ain't feeling very well. But intake's up here. I have a second intake over there. I have a bunch of plastic over there. But a lot of people like to use a soldering iron to do their intake shaving. I don't. I prefer a torch and a flathead screwdriver, which I keep a lot of broken screwdrivers around for purposes such as melting plastics back together. Toolbox is a mess. This being one of them. Nice flathead screwdriver. You can really smooth it out real good. All of my plastic bits are, well, they was sitting right here. Oh, they're over here. All my plastic bits that I shaved off of this intake up there. And I'll have this intake for extra plastic, which I also looked online, and they are actually shaving this top nub too. And I didn't take it off of mine, but now that I look at it, that'd give me more room for the sweet Dragon Ball Z Bulma sticker I'm going to put on here, on the intake, because it's Bulma. That's why it's blue. It's the only thing I could find that was blue that I thought was cool. So I'm going to get this down, shave that third nub off, and start melting plastic. So 3 hours of a flathead screwdriver, a blowtorch, and a lot of plastic. Lot of plastic. I'm 2/3 of the way done. Yeah, it sucks shaving your intake. Why do I do it? Well, it looks better than the factory one, and everybody and their mother who's got an LS swap truck has the old Vortex cover of some kind on it. So shave the intake to make it look better, but it does take hours. And after I even get them 3 done, I'll have to sand it down again. Then my, being scared of it blowing apart, which it won't because a vacuum has or an intake has vacuum, not back pressure. If it had back pressure, it would be a turbo or way out of timing, and it would blow them off. But all the plastic sounds the same, so it's pretty much welded really good. These are all real good and smooth, basically, and I actually have them dipped in a little to accept fiberglass. I will put fiberglass over most of these areas to make it to where it'll be stronger. Now, again, when I'm doing this, I tend to push the screwdriver in like this at different angles in X patterns and everything. Don't do it flat down. Don't do that, because that will, it'll still blow off easy that way. So go at different angles, different shapes, blah blah blah, and that will help lock the plastic in. Now, a lot of people use a soldering iron. I do not, because the soldering iron really, it's only like that. It's a circled area. It's not a flathead that can, lock in. Prefer this and a torch. Sorry, it's the way it is. Now, after you do shave all of these, there is still other things you will have to do. For one, once I get it shaved, I will have to put in the the map sensor, yeah, not mass airflow, but map sensor back here in the back. So I'll cut this, excuse me, and I will insert the plastic clip that held it up top on here, melt it in. It will also get fiberglass around it. Now, you will also need a second 3/8 barb fitting in the back here somewhere. I tend to put mine in the side or right here. And what that is this is your brake booster. This is going to be your PCV. Now, you can also use your brake booster with a couple adapters for your fuel line, which is what I'll do too. Then, all you have to do is super duper 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 clean the friggin' thing. And I prefer to actually wash it down after I get it plastic welded and all my body work on top done with a red Scotch-Brite and parts cleaner. Brake cleaner most of the time. And then wax and grease remover. Now I use a red Scotch-Brite because it's going to clean it all. Then you cover up 1, 2, 3, the side one, 4, 5, 6 holes. 7, 8 for your paint. And up here, in case you're going to do this, which there'll be more videos of it, I'm just rambling on. Right here, this stuff up here will actually be seen. So what you need to do is you need to pull your gasket, which that one's still good. In fact, it looks like it was relatively new. I'm going to pull it, and I'm literally going to do tape around the studs, these studs, and then get tape right in the gasket and then cover the hole. That's it. Then I'll paint it. I got new intake gaskets in the house. I've got the EGR delete in the back of the truck. But all of this needs cleaned very well. Let me see if I can, yeah. Can you see that down in there? No, you cannot. Let me see if I can't turn my light on. I can't, but there is tons and tons of plastic sanding bits down in there that have come from all of the grinding and sanding of the plastic. Focus. Focus. This camera sucks on this phone. Ugh. I can see that hole perfectly. Oh yeah, you can see that crap now. But all of that has to come out, and the best way is with carb cleaner or brake cleaner and a toilet brush. So all this is going to have to be cleaned up, all the runners and everything, before you paint it. But this is the process. Alright, so I basically got this one plastic welded the other day. This is what it normally looks like, all that crap on top. Once you cut off your ports and stuff, you'll see there's a hole. These are all holes. That's all plastic welded with a flathead and a blowtorch. Now, it's cooled. It's the next day. And I'm going to hit it with some 80 grit on my palm sander to try to flatten all of the bad plastic out here, you know, the high spots. And then after that, I'm going to put some green fiberglass jelly on it. So let's see what it looks like after the palm sander. Again, 80 grit. So this is after the 80 grit palm sanding. It's smooth, but you can still see all these dents and whatnot from, you know, basically melting the plastic. So what I have to do now is some fiberglass jelly. And it don't really matter what brand you use. I just get the cheap stuff. But I'll mix up some of that and I'll spread it to cover all these little dents. You're going to blow this off real good, of course. This little dimple right here, which is actually the third post that I cut off. It's just a little dimple there. But all that's going to get wiped down, cleaned off, then jellied. Alright, got the jelly on. It's not a thick coat, it's just enough to where it'll grab. You know what I'm saying? Did the back a little bit too. Not too worried about that. No one will ever see it unless somebody takes the intake off. But that resin jelly will dry as long as you mix it thoroughly with a dot of hardener in it. And I used liquid hardener because I had it and I couldn't find my cream hardener. But it dries pretty fast with the liquid in it. So I'm going to let that go until tomorrow. It'll be dry, hard as a rock. Then we'll start palm sanding it again. So I'm back at it today. Got it all sanded down. Now it's time for the actual plastic body filler. We don't use that B word. But all this and this and this, that's all just where the fiberglass didn't lay because of all the different highs and lows. But it is basically flat. And the best thing I use is a nice $22 palm sander. It's a great eBay, cheap deal, works good. Now, unfortunately, if you're going to sand this and paint it real nice, you will have to get this thing up to about 300 to get all the scratches out of it. But as for right now, I'm going to filler the top all the way to like these lines on both sides. Gonna round this a little bit, make it cleaner. Now I will have to add another port, but I can do that after it's painted. All of it's got to be cleaned. The inside's got to be cleaned out real good. Now, don't be afraid if while you're doing this, like this, the old plastic comes back through. That's fine. The plastic itself will hold it. The fiberglass is just a little bit of extra strength. But for the most part, it's all good. You can see right here, all that's the plastic weld, if that's what you want to call it, but it's strong. It ain't gonna pop out. You can hear it all sounds the same, so there's no voids or anything. But it's been a long time. Let me flip the camera around. So there's probably going to be a big gap in the videos here because I actually have got, well, I did have what I believe was COVID. Maybe it wasn't, but I was down for 2 weeks. My uncle actually had COVID and I was in contact with him, so I had to stay in, and at that time I got a bad sinus problems and chest congestion. Whether or not that was COVID or not, I don't know. But now I'm back at it and going to be a little behind the 8 ball here for these next couple of videos. As I said, I'm getting ready to slather body filler on this one. I actually was going to get my tune done during that time, and turned out the guy didn't want to be around me no matter what, so no big deal. But I found out my rear end is a 276, which is ginormous, which means I will be going like 65 miles an hour at 500 RPM. And if I was to go to hit a hill or something to go up it, I am in Kentucky after all, it would jump down to like first gear and possibly be like destroying transmission after transmission just because of giant up and down shifts. Like it wouldn't even go back to third because it'd be in 500. It might not even ever get in a fourth gear. It could be at third gear the whole time, pushing 1500 RPMs up a hill, and then jump to second gear and be at 22 or something, so it's not gonna work. My buddy Dusty has a 373 10 bolt with a, what are them stupid things called? Either way, it makes you full posi all the time, and it's straight posi, no slip, mini spool, there we go. But I might be getting that from him and putting it in there for now, but I'd like a 355ish gear would be what I would like. So it's either trade him some stuff for the 373 mini spool, or pay $200 for ring and pinion, and I've never done one, So I don't know exactly how to do that. I know how, but I don't exactly. I've never done one, so that's the whole thing. Still working on wiring, and the gauges are over there on the bench. Again, been sitting 2 weeks. I need to start pulling the front end apart because there's some rot on the core support I want to fix. An inner fender that I'm going to have to replace. And then I can put the front clip back on after I do the rest of the wiring, of course. So that's how these things are going. But basically all messed up right now. I'm going to get back to this intake. Well, I've got I was going to use Evercoat Rage Gold body filler, but I remembered I had some of this pourable smart putty, and this stuff works real good. And considering that's not structural, that is all just to make it look good. It didn't need so much, so we just hit it with some of the putty. You can use Dolphin Glaze or whatnot here, and it'll help. Well, it won't help, but it'll make it look real good. So that's all I'm gonna do for now. Let that dry for tonight and hit it tomorrow or the next day. And I'm gonna get me some red Scotch-Brite to do the rest of it and wash it at the same time. And it will be ready to prime and paint. Now try to stay away from your injector holes. That's these holes. These are your bolts to bolt the intake on. That's your injector holes. You want that to be a nice seal, so keep them smooth. Don't even hit them. Put tape in there when you paint them too, because you really want that to be smooth and seal good.